outside Tucumcari. Rental truck, paint strip, tires close to failing. Driver says it's a moving job. It's clearly not. One-day contract to cross the state line, latch draws. No household goods inside. Drum stacked to the ceiling. Plastic torn, heavy powder exposed. Yellow cake baby, yellow cake mule. Interstate haul, not cocaine, not meth, not street contraband. Powder for the core, driven in daylight, truck rolls west. Nothing stops it. Libya, 2011, concrete yard, barrels left in rows, 1,000 tons in storage, fence pulled down. Inspectors went in, counted drum by drum, 10 were missing, 5 were found outside, abandoned in the open, left without a guard. Not contraband, wages measured in uranium, loaded at night. Routes not reported, hidden hand, fuel cycle sustains. The IAEA looks away, police say nothing. Wrong kind of crime, freight moves west. Looks like moving day. Yellow cake mule, interstate haul, not cocaine, not meth, not street contraband. Powder for the core, driven in daylight, truck rolls west. Nothing stops it. Truck keeps moving. Highway takes it in. No mercy, no break. Only yellow cake mule. Yellow cake mule. Yellow cake mule.
Yellow cake mule. You heard of the drug mules? The nuclear industry has yellow cake mules. You'll find it at James Lucid's site on YouTube. Corium Records is the company. I'm getting sick of being censored. You know that? Did I mention that? I had enough of that. I'm going to fight back. I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm not impressed. I'm not a bad person for doing the right thing. I wish United Nations would do it instead of proliferating it. I guess I'll get censored for that, will I? Can't win a debate. Well, just censor everybody. We're United Nations. We're better than everybody. And yet you're the problem, aren't you? Constipated Party 30 has started. Failing climate goals. UN chief scolds the nations. The dirty architects, for goodness sakes. They're not scolding the nations. They're trying to intimidate the victims into playing their idiotic planet-killing game rather than coming up with solutions. How come every nuclear power plant is surrounded by farms? Why is that? Is that a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. Conference of Parties 30 has kicked off. Well, they got the preamble. All the big shots are there. They're going to dictate to everybody on this planet, 8 billion people, how to think, how to act, how to talk, how to walk, because they got a paper suit on somebody at a nuclear wasteland and they're better than everybody else. All you need is $5,000 suit and a pair of dirty underwear. You can be United Nations too. UN Secretary General of Pizza Hut, or Walmart rather. I'm sorry, UN. Yeah, UN Secretary General. Walmart, Pizza Hut, whatever. They all get Secretary Generals, right? There's nothing special. It means you're just a muppet. Making record profits from climate devastation. That's what United Nations is doing. UN is making record profits from climate devastation caused by the nuclear industry, which is what they're promoting on top of that, with UNSCLEAR and IRPA and the IPRC and International Atomic Energy Agency, with billions spent on lobbying, and that's a fact, and deceiving the public and obstructing progress. That's United Nations is doing that. And nobody will say it out loud for some reason because they all been bought and paid for. And they all went to university to get a job to lick the boots of these disgusting, cowardly parasites. Countries are spending $1 trillion each year on subsidizing fossil fuels. So what? It's the taxpayers that are spending it, not you. You're not spending it, just shut up. Most of that's going to the military-industrial complex, which is, the biggest one is United Nations. It's 195 militaries. United Nations is the biggest polluter of the planet. How much pollution are they causing at this so-called summit? It's not a summit. It's like, you remember when Al Capone, they had all the gangsters meet out on this fancy spot and they all, here's how we're going to split up everything. That's what they're doing down there. It's the same thing. And the difference is, for me and a lot of people, we can back it up. The Constipated Party Conference 30 marks 3 decades since global warming negotiations. Well, the nuclear industry is global warming. The emissions from the nuclear disease factories is global warming. And on a scale that seems to evade the people that work for United Nations. UN has done no wrong, right? That's UN's version. Think about this statement here. Cesium remains dispersed throughout the water column from the surface to the ocean floor. Not carbon. The more carbon's in the ocean, the more species you got, the more phytoplankton you got, the more bases of the food chain, the oxygen chain, the carbon sequestering chain you got. The more whales you got, the more puppies you got, the more species you got, the more trees you got, the more plants you got. So you need to stop telling people that carbon is an issue, because carbon's not an issue, never was an issue, and it can never be an issue, because it's without carbon we look like the friggin' moon. What a disgusting exhibition of scumbags is going on in Brazil, in the Amazon rainforest of all places, which has just lost the glaciers because of 80 years of emissions from the nuclear industry. Began with the temperature average through August being 1.4 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial average. So what? 1.4 degrees Celsius is killing the planet. What are you, lunatics or something? Are you people actually insane to suggest 1.4 degree temperature is causing the wreckage on the planet? Really? Really, you got science to back that up or something, Summer? We've never seen it. We just got you out there gloating and blaming everybody when you're the actual arbiter of the problem in the first place. Right? It used to be the League of Nations, now they're United Nations. Of course, after Nagasaki, Hiroshima, after nuclear weapons. You people are just unbelievable. This is radioactive fallout. You don't see a carbon fallout map, do you? You see radiation. The only emission on this planet, the only element on this planet that creates plumes that covers the entire planet in 23 days is anthropogenic man-made radiation, which, by the way, nothing on the planet has an autoimmune trigger to defend against. No species, including humans. Everybody likes carbon. Every time they say carbon, someone should kick them in the nuts. There should be 1,000 people get in their faces when any of these idiots start saying carbon is the issue. There should be tens of thousands of people writing their boss, getting in their faces, getting on their Twitter. I'm just saying. The only reason they're getting away with it is because everybody's silent. And the only voices we got out there are silent. You're an idiot industry. An industry of misery. And an industry that thinks they have the right to dictate to 8 billion people on this planet everything that they're allowed to do, or according to them. They have a subsidy company, UN does, for every facet of your life worldwide. They have no sovereignty over any country, and they're not regulatory agencies. They have no rights. They have the same rights as McDonald's or Walmart. They have no rights. They have 195 militaries joined them because of corruption, because of lobbying, and because monsters attract monsters. Outside the conference, 1.4 degrees is wrecking the planet. You got any idea how stupid that actually is? It's idiotic to suggest 1.4 degrees is wrecking the planet. It's idiotic. It's ludicrous. And just because you keep saying it over and over and you have the media under your thumb doesn't make it friggin' true. I'm just saying. Don't forget to censor everything I'm saying, because, hey, it's easy. Oh, let's censor him. We can't have any dissenting voices. Does YouTube and International Atomic Energy Agency, UN, consistently ghost banning anti-nuclear videos warrant congressional investigation? Warranted! That's a no-brainer. The only topics you're not allowed to talk about is the vaccines, 911, global warming, their version, and the nuclear industry. That's quite the coincidence, isn't it? The things that are the worst things that have ever happened to our planet are the things we're not allowed to question. You question, I'm not afraid of you weirdos. You chicken eggs who hide behind a corporation and then destroy the planet by silencing any dissenting voices. You're the idiots of society, for goodness sakes. You're the village idiots. That's the only people going to get those jobs. Outside of the conference venue, still under construction ahead of next week. What are you calling it a summit for when all you got there is lapdogs from the industry? Everybody's just part of that big company one way or another. There's no dissenting voices. You got the useful idiots, but there's no dissenting voices. Not ever. Not in 30 years. There's never been a dissenting voice, an actual voice with logic. It's just controlled opposition only. You're the worst of the worst. You're the weirdos of the weirdos. A flotilla. Bring in indigenous leaders who don't know nothing about what you're up to, I'm sure, and activists who don't know nothing about the reality of what's going on. Down the rivers to the Amazon, to the conference. Was delayed and would not arrive until next week. These people are actually lunatics that write this stuff on top of that. During the summit, the leaders' summit, the leaders, the people now who get a job for 4 years and now going to dictate our future and the future of humanity and the 8 million species. The weirdest of the weirdest weirdos. And the United Nations got the weirdest too, buddy. You ask any of these people who their friends they grew up with, what they're like, and they're going to like, that's a freaking idiot. That could never change. There was no way to help that kid. He grew up and everybody knew he was going to be a moron with a good education. So he can get out and bully a whole planet and make himself feel important in his own special little tiny cupboard. You got your head so far up UN's asses, you don't even know if there's a sun anymore. About 150 idiots, some national idiots and international idiots, without the consensus. Who are you to make any decision for me? Who are you to speak for me? You don't speak for me. You speak the opposite of any reality I know of. You live in a fantasy. Oh, 1.4 degrees is going to change the planet. Not 80 years of emissions from the nuclear industry, no. You got a plume covering the planet for millions of years, and for the last 80 years. Your nuclear testing was a nuclear war. It's the same radioactive fallout. You got a plume covering the planet, pulsing energy at the speed of light every second for millions of years, going on for 80 straight years. And it attacks everything with replicating cells. It's merciless. And then you're murdering the victims in the hospital with more radiation. You're the weirdest of the weirdest. Even Freud couldn't conceive this. Even Orson Welles couldn't conceive this. You're the problem. You know, if you didn't exist, can you imagine how wonderful our planet would actually be if the United Nations didn't exist? Without all this perpetually meddling? It's perpetually scheming? We would have a wonderful planet if you didn't exist, UN. Nobody needs you. Everybody needs you gone. You're the weirdo of weirdos. And that's forever. Nobody will ever be any weirdo than the United Nations people. You're the most bizarre things we've ever seen in the history of humanity is United Nations, the people in the United Nations. You're the epitome of idiot machines. You produce more idiot machines. You've got a bigger carbon footprint than most countries. You would do nobody any favor, your own friends, your families, your loved ones, or any species or this planet. You're the issue. You're the problem. You're the death of the planet. All you do is bring nothing but misery to the entire planet. Because you have an agenda and an education. You think you're so better than everybody. That you can put a few hundred people together and that could be the decisions. And what do you want this time? You want $1 trillion this time, is it? How much was it the last time they wanted? 2.5 trillion, was it? We done it last year too. This year they dropped the numbers down to something more manageable, I guess, $1 trillion. If you give the United Nations $1 trillion, they'll fix everything. But they won't acknowledge the nuclear industry is the problem. Not you, not your tin cans, not your pop bottles, not your cardboard. No! I should be on stage down there. I'll smarten all of you up very quick. You give me $1 billion, I'll fix your fucking problems very quick for you. We'll kill nuclear right away. Yeah? And then we'll litigate everything out there for restitution. We'll cannibalize every company out there, and we'll put all the leaders in jail for the pollution that they caused. We'll restore our futures. And if we don't do something similar to that, we don't put somebody in that position and get rid of that idiot machine. And what? They want 3 times more nuclear on the planet than we already got. That's already snuffed out our planet and the majority of the species. This is a research expedition that I done for 5 years, for 6 years, 5 more years after Fukushima. And I went from Vancouver, British Columbia to Alaska for 6 years total. After the first year, to my absolute horror, the species are gone. That was like it was before and then after. In order to do that, you have to kill the actual ocean. Because the ocean is the super life. A glass of water would have 1 billion creatures. And 75 to 100 million of those would have been the phytoplankton, the basis of the food chain, the oxygen chain, the carbon sequestration chain. What does radiation take out right away? Oh, that's right. The surface, where the phytoplankton exists. It's terrifying how the Pacific ecosystem collapsed since Fukushima. Not since a coal plant broke down. Not since an oil plant broke down. Not since a gas plant broke down. That killed the planet. No! Radiation killed the planet. A single plant breaking down wrecked our planet. And 80 years of emissions and nuclear testing, all the dumping, all the meltdowns, all the releases from the fuel pools worldwide. You're the problem. You're the problem. You're the problem. Make a video, come out and prove me I'm wrong. Or shut your mouths and come on board, the winning team. You're the problem. Don't blame the victims of the planet as your problems. You create it. And sentenced to a miserable death by radiating when he went to the hospital seeking solace. You worms, you parasites, you maggots. You destructive maggots is what the nuclear industry is. And the United Nations is the biggest one. Who've hid all the crimes. United Nations hid the nuclear meltdowns of Fukushima, for goodness sakes. Amongst endless other things. Who do you think you are? I'm just asking. Is that a crime? I'm allowed to ask. You're a coward because you won't answer. You're a coward because you hide away like the coward that you were, and your parents were, and their parents were, and their parents were. Who are the major players at Constipated Party 30? What do they want? What do you want? Delegates. Really, humans. No, delegates. Oh, you mean people? No. Delegates. From the global joints. The biggest polluters on the planet are expected to clash. Really, clash. Over how to tackle the climate crisis and who should pay. So you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know where you're going to get the money to do it. And you've been at this, 30 years? And we're supposed to fucking admire you for this? That's supposed to impress me, is it? You're the weirdos of the weirdos. Look at you. All of you look like morons. You don't look like people. You look like shitty pantses. The United Kingdom idiot machine. He's an actual idiot. It'll be gone soon enough, like the last idiots. When the consensus is gone on fighting climate change as leaders dictate everybody's future. Leaders. People that were bought and paid for by lobbyists. They're not leaders. They don't speak for anybody on the planet, only a couple of corporations, the military-industrial complex. You know I'm right. We'll take out skinhead, Prince William, who had a $100 million security detail every year he was growing up. $100 million. They spent on security so he could grow up and be a moron and an idiot and a sellout. And he lost all the hair off his head because he knows everything he's doing is wrong. And he has to do it all day just to pretend that he's special to everybody else. At least Harry walked away from it. Serial killer Harry. What he done over in Afghanistan and the Black Hawk helicopters is just cold-hearted, man. All for a fantasy. He done it because he didn't want to play video games. He wanted to do it in real life. And Skinhead went over there and participated in secret for 10 days, right? Remember that? Greenpeace, the traitors of the traitors. The treacherous of the treacherous. World leaders. Not you, not me. Not the people who actually live in this excrement that they turned this planet into. Must set the stage for constipated Party 30 climate and forest actions. I went out there and the species are all gone and they knew they were going to go. Oh, they all died of cancer after Fukushima. Think about that statement. Cancer jumped from species to species to species is what the official story is now. I went out for 6 years. A very humble, very, very humble times. I had to go back for 5 more years because the species are gone. The ocean, the soup of life, didn't recede the coastline. What does that mean? It means we killed the ocean. The nursery of your planet. You can't do that without contaminating all the fresh water. Might as well do that. At what point do we tell these people to shut their fucking mouth when you seize them? Everybody should look at you and say, hey, I'm keeping an eye on you, shit brains. You traitorous little prick. Everybody on the planet should be healing that. And the journalists should be told that we know better. We know what they're doing. We know what they are. We know these are just scumbags. These are animals. Not fit for society. Fukushima's like eating a banana and walking in sunshine, flying on an airplane. Do you not got any idea how many thousands and thousands of journalists I came out and called out for doing that? Bananas, sunshine, and airplanes, by the way, have absolutely no attributes with nuclear whatsoever. They have nothing to do with the nuclear industry. Sunshine's good. Eating bananas is good. Bananas you can't make a dirty bomb out of sunshine and bananas. You're already acclimated to it through genetics pure selection. That's why it exists and you coexist with it. Constipated Party 30 opens with the goal of mobilizing 1.3. Oh, that's what it's about. Oh, mobilizing. So United Nations get their hands on $1.3 trillion. And they're going to fix the climate. They're going to go reseed the whole coastline with all those species that are missing. I went back for 5 years. The species never recovered. Those species never came back. You're going to fix that, are you? Huh? You're a big shot. You're going to fix it. I'll fix you. I get my hands on your scrawny little fucking necks. North America will not be safe from Fukushima radiation. Animals suddenly died on the West Coast. Oh, yeah. And everybody noticed. Except for United Nations. They're going to blame it on your tin cans, your pop bottles, your cardboard. That you won't give them $1.3 trillion for therefore that's why the planet was going to die. We won't give them $1.3 trillion. Give me $1 billion. I will wreck the nuclear industry within 2.5 years. I'll wreck it. And we'll all start producing worldwide geothermal because we'll have that conversation and people will agree that that's the solution. That idiot, moron, stupid technology that doesn't exist like fusion and small modular reactors. They're building small modular reactors. They in Canada. It's 240 feet tall. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be hard to get along with. It's 240 feet. Stop calling it a small modular reactor, shit for brains. Just stop. And when they say it, get out there and tell them. Ask that question. How is a 24-story building a small modular reactor, you fucking wit moron? Ask them. For God's sakes, get out there and ask them. I have 15 people, 11 likes, 18 votes. 11 likes! On a show I've been doing for over a decade. 5 days a week when I can. I was a young man when I started this. 24 years ago. I ain't going anywhere soon. I got 7 stints put in. What a shit for brain industry. What a bunch of weirdos. What a bunch of morons that work for this industry and participate in this industry. Really, what a weird, stupid. I mean, these are just unlikable people. They feel special, though, because they work for the industry. They got all kinds of privileges, all kinds of money thrown at them. They get to steal lots. So they're special in their fucking stupid little world. They're special. They're compartmentalized idiot planet that they live in, this little bizarre world they live in. They're special. They're special. They're better than everybody. We got to silence Dana because Dana speaks the truth. We have to silence Dana because he's honest. We got to silence Dana because he makes sense. You should put me on a stage at Constipated Party 30. I'll fucking smarten them all up right quick. I'll have them all talking. They won't put me up in the media, the endless media that's there, but the rest of those people there, they'll have trouble sleeping for a while, I can tell you that much. You let me go there and give them the fucking dose. Somebody should donate $10,000. I'll head down there. I'll fucking head down there right away. I'm gone within 24 hours, and I'll bring the heat, buddy. I'll also bring a whole lot of pictures. Oh, yeah. I'll bring a whole lot of pictures. Oh, and I'll bring more pictures. How about this picture here? Imagine me showing up at Conference of Parties 30 with about 50 of these placards, about great big placards. That's not a good clean shot there, but imagine about 50 of these, and the question is, that's fake, that's real, what's going on here? Do you got any idea how fast the industry would fall apart me just doing that? Or they got all the fuel out of reactor 3 and 4. Imagine me showing up at Conference of Parties with 50 great big placards, 50-inch by 50-inch or bigger placards like this. The real reactor 3, the real reactor 4, and they poisoned your planet. We know because we've done the research expeditions. And we're not lawyers, we're not cowards like them. What would you rather have, United Nations or 8 million species? Somebody should donate $10,000 fucking dollars so I can get down there and stick my foot down a whole bunch of their fucking throats. And you know I will. North America will not be safe from Fukushima. Not carbon. Not gas, oil, and coal emissions. I'm not cranky. I'm not cranky. Don't you say that. I'm honest, and I'm upset because we're throwing the planet away for the likes of nothings. United Nations is nothing. They're a nothing. You give them $1.3 trillion, and they can pretend there's something, but they're still going to be nothing. At a climate summit. This is not a climate summit. You can't change the climate, you arrogant fucks. You shit for brains. You useless fucking scum. But if we give you $1.3 trillion this year, what do you want next year? You have a lot more money for lobbying. In fact, if you got $1.3 trillion, you can take $500 billion of it and lobby the fuck out of the whole planet and get $2.3 trillion next year, right? Still have lots of money to play around with your friends and pretend you're important. Flying around, staying in the biggest hotels, eating the best food, and the best planes, the biggest carbon footprint on the planet. All you fucks are down there to get your chunk of the pie. That's what $1.3 trillion, because they're going to steal your chunk of the pie during all the attitudes to the Constipated Party. 30. These are lunatics, eh? And because there's no allowed anywhere on the fucking planet, including here. The censorship here is shocking, eh? 13 viewers, 15 likes. Where's all the species? After the species disappeared after the nuclear accident in Japan. That's what you want to call it. You built it on the tectonic plates, 70 kilometers away from tectonic plates. In other words, you built it right on the tectonic plates with a 3,000-year legacy. You built these reactors on the tectonic plates with a 3,000-year legacy of massive earthquakes they couldn't withstand and tsunamis that would bury them, and did. A 3,000-year history of knowing that's the worst spot to build anything, let alone nuclear reactors. And when you knew the prevailing winds would cover the whole planet, North America and Canada, United States first. Which was an incredible oasis of food. It was an incredible environment. The West Coast was beautiful. If the nuclear industry didn't exist, this is what it would look like. It's all gone because the nuclear industry exists. And it's never coming back. United Nations not going to fix that. These are cowards of cowards. And the tool of choice now is censorship because they can't win a debate anywhere on the fucking planet. They got to get a whole bunch of weirdos together, put them in the same place and pretend they're smart for some reason. Pretend that they're the answer. They're the arbiters of facts. Look at how fucking stupid it looks. They have the number constipated party 30. Hashtag. They got money to waste on everything. All the lobbying, everything else. Wine and dine anybody on the planet. Briefcase of cash. Have you ever heard Teleton being audited? You got 195 countries donating absurd amounts of money to every organization represented under their banners, like IAEA, IRPA, Unclear, the IPRC. IAEA, we've seen just one check for donations of $19 million. They don't have a product. Their product is selling you out. Their product is killing our planet. Their product is pretending you can't have a future. Their product, not pretending, but making sure you can't have a future. Their product is radiating and killing your loved ones in hospitals. All of them. And the ones that survive are destroyed. And are permanent clients to the pharmaceutical industries because of their encounter with anthropogenic man-made radiation. Why would you put that? Why would you release that on your planet for? Its ultimate thing is you wipe out every species on the planet, including humans, of course. Conference of parties. Prince William, skinhead. Like, I'm bald, but I'm bald because I tore my fucking hair out trying to do the right things. He's bald because he's a prick. You know I'm fucking right. Am I swearing too much for you? I'm fucking worried about it. I don't tell you what to do every fucking day. Expect 7,000 plus species in the tidal pools. Now there's fucking nothing. Do you really think U.S. absence set the loom over? Yeah, because they donated a stupid amount of money to you scumbag UN, didn't they? It's all about the money. You can't restore the species to the Pacific Ocean or any other ocean you now destroyed because of your perpetual protection of an industry that you knew ultimately would end up exactly right there. Nuclear industry has no right to exist, and you're the biggest proliferator of it. And we haven't seen the word nuclear mentioned so far this year for some reason. You know they're going to push the shit out of it again this year, you parasites. They're parasites. They feed on the 8 million species. In order for them to exist, you have to kill all the species and all the humans and all the plants and trees and everything else on the planet. That's their end goal. Because the radioactive fallout attacks everything with replicating cells, which is every species on the planet. Where do you think we're going to end up? Wow, isn't that interesting? The fucking species are gone. It's gone because, there's people like Jay Cullen out there who dragged me into court with a slap suit so that he's fucking sucking the money out of the radiation testing from the victims all over British Columbia, right? And his little lapdog moron, Ken Abusler. These fucking little turds, they actually had gag orders against me for 3.5 years, so I couldn't tell this fucking story properly. Jay Cullen, the marine chemist, who come out and said it's like a banana and potato chip and walked in sunshine. Little fucktard from BC. Little wannabe astronaut. Wanted to get his design on a coin guy. You remember him? He got the ego of a UN spokesperson. He's just robbing the villages out there, telling them there's no radiation and their children are dying. He's a serial killer, right? Remember that guy? I don't understand where the fucking fuel pools are in the building. Well, they're not at the bottom. And they're not there. I don't understand where the fuel pools are in the buildings. They're at the top of the fucking building. And those two depictions up there, that's where the two, and that doesn't exist. I cried in court like a baby. Who the fuck are you talking about? I didn't cry in court like a fucking baby. When you gave me 6 gag orders. When I came in off an ocean research expedition showing the species were gone, little fucktarts out there dragged me into court. How many times you dragged me in court? And I stood there. Go read what was said at the beginning of the trial. But I had to defend myself because I couldn't get a lawyer. They all had compromised with the University of Victoria. What a fucking weirdo. Species are gone. That's why you dragged me in court, you fucking little parasite. Well, I cried in court. Well, yeah, you cried in court. Cried to your friends. He's going to beat me up. He's in a wheelchair. He had me terrified. You think I'm going to take you in a fucking plane, fly you down to fucking Fukushima and throw you down on the reactor, right? That's what you said on the stand, wasn't it? Shit for brains. Yeah, marine chemist is Jay Cullen. The little fucking lapdog who dragged me into court and gave me 6 gag orders for 3.5 years so I couldn't talk about the nuclear industry when I came back from my research expeditions. He was just in the comment section. The fuck are you doing in my comment section, you prick? I put together a research operation for 6 years, went out and discovered that the radioactive fallout had wiped out all the species. And so they dragged me into court and silenced me with 6 gag orders. That little fucker was just in my comment section, for goodness sakes. Wow, eh? Isn't that something? Those species to your left are exterminated because of nuclear, and it was covered up by the University of Victoria with one of their little fucking morons. One of their little manipulators. How many female students had to do naughty things to that prick to get their fucking grades, I wonder? And someday he's going to end up back in court because of what he done to the female students in his classroom. He only got the job because his mommy works for the nuclear industry in Ontario. World leaders meet for pre-conference of parties, 30 talks and funding fights against climate change. What the fuck are you doing on my video tonight is the big question. World leaders meet for pre-conference of parties, 30 talks and funding fights for the climate change. The fucking species were wiped out by Fukushima. not coal, not gas, not oil, but radioactive fallout from Japan. That's not up for debate. Go to my playlist. Like if you want to understand why I'm saying the things I'm saying tonight, why degenerate fucking weirdos like Jay Cullen are in my comment section of all fucking places, a sitting professor from the University of Victoria who dragged me into court to give me gag orders. That's all he done to me. Nobody defended me. And if you really just got cried in court, go read the court transcripts when it was my turn to speak and find out who the fucking real person was there. The only crime done was there was they didn't give me more gag orders for some reason. If you go to my playlist, you can see why Jay Collins showed up here, why he don't want you looking at me. Go to the mass species die-off, click on view full playlist. This is only a fraction. Remember, they took down my other YouTube channel with 25,000 subscribers and 1,500 presentations like this, and the research expeditions, documentation, when I was there looking for spiders. Fukushima meltdown. Go watch these presentations, and now you'll realize why. What I'm saying is fucking right. Give me $1 billion, and we'll take care of a shit-for-brains marine chemist himself. We'll litigate the fuck out of him for showing up here. We'll litigate the nuclear industry, and we'll make some fucking changes. We'll end the nuclear industry. At least the planet will have a fucking chance. Conference of Parties, Constipated Parties, the real name, who refuse to acknowledge nuclear as the issue, starts as typhoon kills hundreds. They have 20 fucking typhoons there every year. You can't use that as some catalyst to give United Nations $1.3 trillion because there's a fucking typhoon. They're the last ones you want to give it to. They're the epitome of wrong. They're the cover story, like that little fucker, little muppet that came in here earlier. They're the epitome of stupid. Thanks, Dana. It's okay, man. I needed those extra few minutes to prove it was fuckhead. You little fucking parasite, boy. Don't think I'm finished with you yet. I'm talking about the muppet, the weirdo that showed up in our comment section. Photo collection, Conference of Parties 30, UN Climate Summit. UN Climate Summit. You know UN Climate Summit, right? They want $1.3 trillion this year. Only 1/3 of what they wanted last year. That's convenient. They want it next year, though. Fukushima's like eating a banana, walking in the sunshine, flying on an airplane. That's what the nuclear industry. The animals died, and everybody fucking noticed it on our west coast after Fukushima. Everybody noticed the animals dying after Fukushima. We noticed. We went out on 6 years of research expeditions. We're the only fucking people on the planet who's bringing that information to you. The species to your left now are exterminated because of Fukushima. Not because of gas and all and fucking coal. Smarten the fuck up. And all of these headlines, by the way, coincidental, I was out there doing research expeditions and reporting on it when these headlines came out. And there was nobody else out there talking about it. So who do you think was the catalyst? Here's a whale from 2 weeks ago. This is a bronze whale. And there was the only picture that was released, very grainy. I'm sure that wasn't a fucking accident. It was alive 5 days before that picture was taken, which was 2 weeks ago. it's like 1.5 tons, but it should weigh over 20 tons. I've never seen emaciation like that in my entire friggin' life. No fish out there anywhere. And I showed you that. All the species are exterminated. All the whales are emaciated, for God's sakes. Go watch the playlist I showed you there. Go to the Die Off playlist and start watching some of those videos. I provide you all the evidence, everything you need. You can win any case in court, unless you go to BC court where it's rigged. This is a crazy story. This is a revelation that came out yesterday. This story basically is iodine has always been released into the environment. Now they're talking about trying to sequester it. But for 80 years, and this is one of the biggest byproducts of the radioactive fuel, by the way, and it's perpetually, like when you take fuel out of the reactor core, the process every 12 months, 14 months, you take a fuel, 1/3 of the reactor core out and putting it in a pool. There's no containment anymore. It's still splitting fucking atoms. You have 1,000 fuel pools splitting atoms into the environment worldwide. Let me say that again. You have 1,000 fuel pools splitting atoms. So, just hang on, I'll show you what I mean by that. This is incredible. You really want to understand climate change? I got it for you right here. And this story is so important to telling that story. Hang on, let me grab that folder. Let's get started. The industry is actually insane. Which reactor, by the way, is the real reactor? Is the one on the left or the one on the right? If it's the one on the left, you should evacuate Japan. And the official story is this is it. Remember that shit for brains there earlier was saying, I don't even know where the fucking fuel pools are to. I don't know. Me. I don't know. You've watched any of my presentations. That's the last thing you're ever going to fucking say is I don't know. I'm one of the few that do know, apparently. Think about this statement here. This was the French government. You know, the arseholes, the French. The IRSN, the French government, experts in nuclear radiation. This is not a model. This is a study on a spiked. Radiation levels in the United States, Canada, West Coast, spiked. Spiked. It's not an opinion. It's not a conjecture. It's spiked to 1 million to 10 million atoms per cubic meter of what it was pre-Fukushima, for goodness sakes. So think of a snowstorm coming out of a nuclear fuel pool. And by day 20, and I'll tell you when day 10, this is what a fuel pool does to your planet. There's 1,000 of them out there. This is day 20 right here. In fact, a fuel pool would be worse than that. That's cesium-137 based on 31 days when the model stops. Covering the entire planet. The entire planet. With atoms, an invisible snowstorm. You can't see it. Snow never melts. The snow never goes away. It never stops snowing. Now, call it radiation. That's actually how it works. You got 1,000 fuel pools doing this every month. Within 1 year of a nuclear plant, as soon as you put fuel in there, it starts doing that. Every fucking year to put more fuel in the fuel pool, so these plumes are worse every year. By the way, this model is Fukushima. And this attacks everything with replicating cells. Not carbon, not gas, not fucking oil, not coal. That's day 20 right there. A radioactive fallout. Actual spike. It's a study by the French government. The freedom fries, guys. Give me $1 billion and I will fucking limb this industry. And everybody knows it. If you look at the work I've got done on this site, my research expeditions, you know what I'm fucking saying is true. And you know I can do it for a lot less, but Pretend you didn't hear that. Give me $1 billion. I'll put together enough lawyers to litigate all these fuckers out there, including the United Nations, including IAEA and Unclear and URP and IPRC. I'll fuck them so bad, they'll be destroyed within 1 year. The whole world will hate their fucking guts. And because I'll do it with facts, because that's the best way to do it. And we can beat them in court with just facts. We don't need to make up fucking shit like they do all the time. Do you see the strong argument they had for me earlier in the comments section? Before Dana stepped on him because that was appropriate. Literally saying I was crying in court. I was crying in court. I should have been crying in court. I was too busy fighting a pack of fucking cowards off. I'm not the bad guy. You're the bad fucking guys that done it to me. You're not even guys. You're cowards. You're morons. You're the shit for brains of society. You're the losers of losers. Everything you got was on your mommy and daddy's back. And everything you kept was by destroying everybody around you and their futures. You're the weirdos of the weirdos. You just refuse to look in a fucking mirror. I don't hide away from nobody. Ever, under any circumstances. They come at me in ghost counts. So, this is Fukushima. Think of a plume coming out. This is only based on 30 days when it finishes. You got a plume of radiation. Pretend it's snow, but you got a snowstorm. You got a snowstorm when you get to 20 days, which is almost there. This is 20 days of a snowstorm. It's actually radioactive fallout, but 20 days of a snowstorm. The snow never melts, never goes away, and it never stops fucking snowing, and attacks everything with replicating cells. And this is cesium-137. It pulses energy 600 feet every second for 600 years, 300 years. So all the cesium-137 on this planet ever produced is still out there in one isotope or another, pulsing energy at the speed of light every second. And the biggest byproduct of the radioactive fuel rods is not cesium-137, it's curium isotopes. Curium isotopes, you need lead shielding 20 times thicker than you do for plutonium. So how are you going to protect all the birds and mammals and animals and insects? And another facet about this you're missing, here's how climate change actually works. This has been going on for 80 years. But Fukushima was a pulse event. It was 8 reactor cores at the top of each of the buildings in the fuel pools. And they put an average of 5.5 up there each decade. But it takes a long time. They have nowhere to put it. They don't have any repositories. But think of these plumes. They cover the whole planet, all the meadows, all the trees, all the forests. Everything is sucking up radiation, pulsing energy at the speed of light every second for millions of years. But what happens is you sterilize the ground eventually because you're getting gammas and alphas and neutrons and betas. They're pulsing energy. When they hit each other, they don't mingle. They don't pass through each other. They hit each other, they change direction. That's known as X-ray. It's known as the Bremsenlung effect, where it was discovered in Germany. But we call it an X-ray. So every species in the forests of the meadows, that's bacteria and fungus and biota, the microscopic animals breaks down the foliage and the litter. All of them have been wiped out, and were being wiped out for 80 years. But Fukushima was a pulse event. And what happens is the Earth doesn't suck up water anymore post-Fukushima. So all the supercell cyclones, supercell typhoons, supercell hurricanes are post-Fukushima. Jamaica allegedly got hit with 185 miles per hour wind, but they refused to say what kind of gust that was. That was pretty convenient. Winds don't gust in Jamaica post-Fukushima. How interesting is that? Winds don't gust. And if you look at the headlines that came out for Jamaica, 185 mile per hour winds, 185 mile per hour winds. Instead of gusting to 250, 260 mile per hour, we don't have infrastructure for 250, 265 miles per hour or 185 miles per hour because we never had these attributes coming ashore before. Well, before the nuclear industry. If you go back and look at the nuclear industry, that's when you start to see all of these records getting broken throughout history. 185 mile per hour wind. What, really? And none of them are gusting. Well, ain't that interesting? How come the winds don't gust anymore? 185 mile per hour wind, don't need gusts, by the way. It turns everything it destroys into a projectile on top of that. Hello, everybody. So the foliage in the litter is breaking down in your meadows, in your ecosystem. It's not breaking down, right? So when you have lightning strikes, because this is tinder dry, and they're big, they float long distances, and that keeps the forest fire going crazy. And all the radiation sequestered in your forest, and we're talking about a massive amount over 80 years, not just from 1,000 fuel pools splitting atoms directly into the environment. So you wiped out most of the bacteria and the fungus, certainly in North America, and most of the worldwide. It's a little slower in the southern atmosphere, but it's definitely noticeable and catastrophic. We've seen the glaciers post-Fukushima disappear worldwide. We've seen supercell storms worldwide. Just total coincidence. It's all post-Fukushima. All the whales are emaciated. Total coincidence. You don't think that's not going to break the fucking food chain worldwide? And that's all your fresh water too. And if you didn't know better, and if you didn't know better, and you first came and seen this, you have to remember they're attacking your fresh water too. They're irradiating the shit out of your biggest aquifers on the planet. Every nuclear plant is built over one of the biggest aquifers in that part of the country. All the national laboratories are, and they all had multiple meltdowns into those aquifers, which happens to supply tens of thousands of farms downstream, don't it? Total coincidence. Each reactor sucks up 1 million gallons a minute, 4,500 tons a minute. It's equal to 1,440 minutes a day would be equal to 6,450,000 one-ton trucks of water. Each glass of water has 1 billion creatures, and you're talking about 6,450,000 one-ton trucks of water, 1,000 liters in each truck goes into the cooler reactor and to produce electricity. But you're going to boil that and sterilize those creatures from 1,000. You got over 400 nuclear plants doing the same thing worldwide, sterilizing every creature that goes through it. And then the releases, they have incinerators in all nuclear sites. They have pipes going directly into the ocean. They're legally allowed to leak radiation because nobody's paying attention to them. The checks and balances, UN are not regulating them. They're captured, and they're not even regulators. UN is not a regulatory agency. They don't have any authority over any nuclear power plant worldwide. Nothing. Like the crazies. Veritasium is one example of it. He wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the nuclear industry. He says being in Fukushima is equal to that many bananas. In a nuclear wasteland when he picked up 30 million one-ton bags. He conflated every accident on the planet with bananas. And he's got 18 million subscribers now out there regurgitating that same narrative. But to suggest that the radioactive fallout has those particular attributes is insane. Like, they're not pretending they're at the top of these buildings because it's like a fucking banana, okay? Get your shit together. Okay, let's come back here. Nuclear energy has an important role in low-carbon energy. What the fuck are you talking about? It's the most dirtiest technology in human freaking history. It's the worst conceivable technology in human history, period, bar nothing. A few people, everybody that's commenting, put in hashtag COP30. Because that'll show up in their search engines. The more we see it there, every comment should have that hashtag in it. No matter what you're saying in your comment, put hashtag conference or party, COP30. So this is a crazy story. The safety of spent nuclear fuel management. What are you talking about? Everything is vented directly into the environment, and every nuclear power plant is surrounded by farms as far as you can see. You want to see the safety of that stuff, just go down to the orphanages in Belarus and Ukraine to see the abandoned children. Nuclear shouldn't exist. The reason we have these extreme weather events is the nuclear industry's 80 years of releases, nuclear meltdowns, nuclear so-called testing. I don't know why you call it testing. It was a nuclear war. It's the same radioactive fallout. Doesn't matter if you detonate the nuclear weapon in anger or not. Imagine that fucking coward came into my comment section earlier and didn't have the fortitude, the courage. He wasn't man enough to show his face on his site. He didn't have any videos, any pictures, anything there to identify he's actually who he claims to be. We know who he is by what he said, mind you. We know he's one of the people that caused me to get 6 fucking gag orders against Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, the University of Victoria, a police department. I wasn't even allowed to talk about a police department 3.5 fucking years. Who was crying, I wonder, to drag me in? I remember one of them saying to me, he might be down in front of my house is on the ocean. My family might see his boat and look him up. Yeah, and realize you're a fucking scumbag. Plutonium from Sellafield in all children's teeth. Oh, it's lovely. It's wonderful. It's such a loving industry. Do you know what fucking plutonium does in small amounts? I'm not saying that Fukushima released small amounts, by the way. This is a 20-day model of Fukushima plume based on very little emissions, not based on the nuclear meltdowns I showed you earlier, not based on the inventories of them, not based on the inventories from the missing fuel pools, which had 8 reactor cores each. Let me show you what that fucking does to the millions of animals they killed. Well, very little is known about radiation, Dan. Shut the fuck up before I find you and kick your teeth down your throat. I'm tired of you fucking people. I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I'm not going to fucking take it any fucking more from you scumbags. I've been doing 5 shows a week typically for over a decade if I'm not out doing research expeditions. Bear with me. Oh yeah, wait on, hang on. Wrong stuff. We need dog studies, right? Dr. Raymond Gilmedy from Loveless Respiratory Research Institute. I'm sorry, professor. Why is it every professor we come across is a fucking weirdo? Where's the real people in this fucking planet? Hang on, wait for it. I typed into the wrong one. Too many keyboards, too many screens. There should be 5 people here working equipment I got, not just poor Dana. I hooked up new equipment yesterday. We finally got showed up. You'll never notice it. Toxicity of inhaled plutonium dioxide in beagle dogs and puppies, 144 dogs. Tumors of the lungs, so 3 tumors from plutonium. Lungs, skeleton, and liver. The biggest, 93 died from skeleton tumors. That's a nice way to fucking die, isn't it? They let them die, right, of it, and then they didn't sacrifice them early. They let them die in misery of tumors that you can't even console them. You can't mitigate the harm and pain they're in. Let them suffer. And Loveless Respiratory Research Institute is a U.S. Navy Research Institute. Bone tumors in 93 dogs were the most common cause of death of those 144 dogs. Lung tumors in 46 dogs were the second most common cause of death. And liver tumors in 20 dogs. Tumors in the 3 organs occurred often in the same animal and competing causes of death. You could have 3 tumors from just the plutonium. Sound familiar? Sound familiar post-Fukushima? The findings in the dog suggest, now this is an outrageous lie, I'll show you why, suggest a similar dose-related biological effects could be expected in humans. Well, humans are 50 times less, kidneys are 50 times less efficient than an animal kidney at removing the plutonium. So you're 50 times more vulnerable. Curium, this was a study on the beagle dogs and puppies. Curium isotopes are the major byproduct in the radiated nuclear fuel. Forget the alpha emitting, forget that it's alpha, gammas, and neutrons or betas. Forget that. It's the biggest byproduct. It's the biggest byproduct. That's really important for the rest of the night. They're the biggest byproduct. And curium isotopes need lead shielding 20 times thicker than plutonium, though. And plutonium killed all the animals in their experiments. And we're talking about millions and millions of just beagle dogs and beagle puppies. So why is it every nuclear power plant is surrounded by farms? Because they're hemorrhaging radiation out there, and that's the best way to poison them. The United Nations is making sure they're poisoning everybody by not by only doing that. And by the way, they're not a regulatory agency. They don't have any sovereignty over anybody. That's the crazy freaking part of this story. Is they don't have any sovereignty over any country, but yet they're considered the regulatory agencies. And they'll even tell you they're not a regulatory agency. Let me do this another way. Hang on. They're out to murder you in your supermarkets, and they're doing it by putting the most productive disease factors on the planet in the middle of prime farmland worldwide. You can't contain the emissions from the fuel pools. They're splitting atoms from millions of homes and businesses into all of those fucking farms. What do you think the repercussion is for surrounding them with farms? I'll show you what I mean. I put together this little collection for the doubters and for educational purposes, because I'm all about that. I don't do what I do for fame and fortune, thank goodness. I do it because I love you and your loved ones and your friends, your families, your pets, your insects. I love your planet. I adore your planet. I adore your species. So then the question is, why is United Nations allowing every nuclear power plant, except for a strategic few, to be surrounded by farms, as far as you can see? Why would you do that when it's, and like they know, right? They know unequivocally that the food sucks up radiation. They no illusions about that. They're unbelievably aware that the food sucks up the radiation. We got hundreds of millions of studies of how radiation is absorbed into food. And we got endless studies of how bad radiation is. So why is every nuclear power plant, except for a couple, strategic ones at that, surrounded by farms? Why? Why, said the man. Bear with me. Now, they know everything about radiation and its effects on humans and animals and biota and microscopic animals. They know everything. Very little is known, Dana. Well, let me just whack that argument right quick here. Let me take a second. Here we go. So then, if very little is known about anthropogenic man-made radiation, why is there millions of studies like this? Why is there millions of studies showing that they actually know everything about radiation? They've studied, these are all radiation harm caused by ionizing radiation. And all the studies are meant to downplay it, by the way. But there's nothing on the planet with an autoimmune trigger to defend against it. And why would you study every species, every insect, every bird, every mammal, every animal, every microscopic animal, every microscopic plant, every microscopic biota, the biosphere? Why would you study everything? Because everything got contaminated with radiation. You need to mitigate it. You need to counter people. To make sure. They do more studies on anthropogenic man-made radiation than they do on the natural elements from the solar system. We call it man-made because it doesn't come from the solar system. So why is every nuclear power plant surrounded by farms when they know everything about it and they know how incredibly harmful it is, how the plants are going to suck up the food? There's no illusions here. They're not situated there accidentally. This is not an accident. It's not a coincidence that all nuclear power plants are surrounded by farms as far as you can see. They're not fucking censoring me because I'm wrong. If I was wrong, they'd put me right up on the front page of YouTube every fucking day. Before our show started, I have 30,000 people there. Yeah. Uh-huh. Baby, don't hurt me no more. I'm sick of it. I'm not going to fucking take it anymore. I'm not going to sit there and let you take it anymore. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to yell. I like yelling. Yelling's good. I should fucking do more of it. I like swearing too. Swearing's good. Makes you feel better. Sleep better too. Well, if they know everything about radiation, but the fuck they know everything about radiation, what's the point of putting farms or nuclear power plants in the middle of prime farmland? What is the point of that when you know that's the worst thing you can do? Is that a coincidence? If I go there on the road and take a picture, security will come out and challenge me. The farmer grows food there, nobody pays attention. Not happening. Not happening. Well, it is happening. Why are you growing food in a nuclear wasteland? All nuclear power plants are hemorrhaging radiation up to tall, skinny stacks. You see the skinny stacks there? That's the fuel pool emissions. Why? Oh, why are nuclear power plants the biggest emission on the planet? It would look way worse than what I'm showing you here, by the way. If you could actually see the radiation coming out of that tall, skinny stack every fucking day, every minute. They know it's bad. They're not stupid. They studied every facet of radiation. They know. They got no illusions. Why are you growing food, UN, alongside of every fucking power plant on the planet, when you absolutely unequivocally, 100% know that this is insane? Why? Why is every nuclear power plant surrounded by farms? Because the food is going to suck up the radiation, your loved ones are going to eat it, and you're going to regret that. You're going to have to liquidate your assets like many people worldwide, millions and millions of people every year. And you're growing food at Fukushima in a nuclear wasteland, shipping that worldwide. Like you picked up 30 million one-ton bags because it's not like a fucking banana. You spent $48 billion because it's not harmless. You can't turn to fairy dust in 14 fucking years. It doesn't work that way. And the plutonium covers the entire planet. Do you think that's the only isotope? Are you really that fucking gullible? Okay, back to the iodine-129 study. Eventually. And I'm not cranky. I'm not angry. I'm worried. I'm heartbroken. I'm terrified because you're destroying the planet so that a few people in key positions can make a bunch of fucking money. Remains a public concern, iodine-129. Like the emissions of iodine-129, just from Fukushima in North America, this is a Canadian Ottawa study, was 220 million atoms. This is a 15 million year half-life. And it wrecks your chromosomes, your DNA, your cells. It doesn't pulse 600 feet like the big shot CC-137, but it still wrecks the chromosomes, DNA, cells of every species that is assimilated into, ingested into by consumption or drinking or breathing the air. Like, you're talking 220 million atoms per liter. You think that's fucking gone away in 14 years with a 15 million year half-life? You really fucking think that's gone away? Well, it turns out the nuclear industry has always released all of it. Fukushima just gives you an insight of how much can come out of a fucking facility. Just watch this. Now we'll get into it. Remains a public concern. Public don't have a fucking clue. Environmental impacts with a particular focus on the highly mobile, persistent radionuclides, like iodine-129. Like, the natural elements on the planet with a long half-life are harmless. We're acclimated to it through genetic superior selection. Right? It's harmless. We use it. Man-made is completely different. We don't have an autoimmune trigger to defend against it. Every atom of man-made that goes in your body is attacked for the rest of your life with white blood cells. That depletes your red blood cells. Your red blood cells carry oxygen nutrition. Same for all the species. So and this is forever. At the same time, your body tries to repair the damage every second for the pulse of energy almost at the speed of light, destroying the molecules, the chromosomes, the DNA, the cells. Can't keep up with that every second. And at the same time, it has to focus laserly on the source, that's pulsing energy at the speed of light every second, every direction. With a particular focus on the highly mobile, persistent radionuclide iodine-129, which is a dominant risk contributor from the spent nuclear fuel disposal and existing underground contamination sites. And how fucking dare somebody come to my comment section and say, I don't know shit, when I've been doing this for 24 fucking years. And I'm public. I produced over 3,000 presentations, over 600 fucking interviews. Think about how much of a coward and weirdo you got to be to come into my comment section and say something like that in just contempt and hate. The same hate they had for me in 2016, I say. Afraid of their families would find out who they really are. I would immediately fucking get rid of them. They're the weirdest people conceivable. And existing on groundwater contamination sites. The results show that the current recycling practice released more than 90% of iodine-129 in the spent nuclear fuel. 90% of it is released into your fucking environment. With a 15 million year half-life, there's 10 half-lives. Transported rapidly to Canada, United States. It's being released from every nuclear fuel pool worldwide. That's a bizarre emission, because if you can't contain the cesium or the iodine-129, which is very prolific, you can't contain the other nuclides. They're all the same fucking size. You can't contain it. So this is them finally admitting, that study is them finally admitting they can't contain it. Wow. Which backs up everything I'm telling you, of course, about the farms and the fuel pools. Like, they've dumped so much in the ocean, so many reactors in the ocean, so many reactor cores in the ocean, for goodness sakes. They've lost so much in the ocean. United Kingdom was going there for 30 years just dumping with special cargo ships just to dump nuclear waste in fucking barrels, of all things, 45-gallon drums. As they're sinking every atmosphere, every 33 feet, there's an extra 14.6 pounds per square inch. Time to get down to 3 atmospheres, the barrel crumbles. And what happens is the bottom and the top is crimped on. So all that fucking nuclear waste is released into yours. Not theirs, yours. Fucking biosphere and ecosystem and ocean. And your ocean is your water, fresh and seawater is your best friend. To let this one friggin' industry destroy it is unconscionable. It's unconscionable. It can never be acceptable. That's some revelation, by the way. Just hang on, I want to put that in my oh shit pile, my never-ending oh shit pile, my perpetually expanding oh shit pile of holy frig. This industry is lunatic, boy. And the cowards had to come, and let me show you another one. They must have felt some special attack on me tonight in the comment section. Let me explain to you, right from the horse's fucking mouth at UN. You like this? I hope you do. Hang on, here we go. Here's a statement from UN, 2023 in August, from UN's spokesperson, IAEA spokesperson, UN, the same fucking thing, Anna Clark. And they do this all the time in all kinds of stories. The International Atomic Energy Agency is not a regulator. So how the fuck can they be a watchdog? Why are you giving them 2 cents of your time? And therefore, they're not in a position to judge or approve anything. Soil, fucking water, or anything else. If they're not in a position to approve soil, they're not in a position to approve water. They're not in a position to be a watchdog. Why would you let a foreign entity that existed pre-Nagasaki, Hiroshima, that went over and destroyed North Korea and ostracized it for over 70 years because UN couldn't get their hands on them, on their mineral rights and everything else. The UN went there and bombed every community, every town, every village, every city, with napalm, attacked the women and children. Millions dead, millions missing, millions in refugee camps, millions unaccounted for, millions of orphans. Ostracized them from humanity for over 70 years after being occupied by Japan for 50 years brutally. That's 120 years ostracized and demonized worldwide in the media because the United Nations has that influence. And couldn't beat them. Got 80 years of emissions from the nuclear industry on top of that, and the United Nations is the one that's hitting it and hiding it and proliferating it. Public's trust is key to the project. You sure that science is not the fucking solution? Public trust, who don't know nothing about, who only listen to the bananas and potato chips narrative for 80 years, they're the ones we're supposed to fucking put in charge? You people, I'm telling you right now, I had $1 billion, you would be sitting in courtrooms in litigation and the whole world would be spitting your fucking name every day. Make no mistake, I'm a fucking force to be reckoned with. Back to the crazies. Iodine-129. Nuclear is the most carbon resource-intensive industry in the fucking planet. Every nuclear plant needs 2 gas, oil, and coal plants just to run the fucking site. You know, do you got any idea how much energy it takes to move 6,450,000 one-ton pickup trucks of water in 24 hours? Because that's the equivalent of, I'm just trying to give you something you can wrap your fucking minds around. That's the equivalent of what they need to dump into a reactor building every 24 hours. And every glass of water in that Every ton of water is 1,000 liters. Each liter is 4 glasses. So multiply that by 1 billion creatures per glass that are destroyed. Eggs and larvae, the phytoplankton, the bases of the food chain, the oxygen chain, the carbon sequestration chain. You have 1,000 fuel pools worldwide hemorrhaging atoms into your ecosystem. Iodine-129. Surface water concentration near 4 nuclear disease factories showed the release dilution strategy. Release dilution. So release it and dilute it strategy results in lower concentrations and regulatory standards. Yeah. You're not destroying it. You're not making it innocuous or benign or harmless. You're spreading it out so it does even more damage because there's so much produced on top of that. And if you're releasing that, you're releasing everything else. You can't just fucking release iodine-129. That plume never had just iodine-129. But look how much of that it had into it. As society moves from delusion to isolation of waste, holy shit. They just confirmed that all the radiation is released from the fuel pools. You can't contain them. Every isotope is the same fucking size when it comes to a filter. You can't filter everything but fucking iodine-129 because it doesn't work that way. There's no science to back up that assertion. You low fucking forms of life. You parasites of humanity. You just absolute fucking parasites. You unbelievable fucking parasites. As society, everybody but them, right? Society. They're the self-appointed gods. Moves from delusion to isolation. After 80 fucking years. 80 years times 365 days a year. And we're talking about 1,000 pools worldwide. Let me bring up a calculator to try to give you some concept of what we're fucking talking about. So 80 years times 365 days is 29,000 days. Now, if you multiply that by all the stars in the universe and all the grains of sands and all the beaches for each day, you're still nowhere near the actual amount of releases from the fucking fuel pools. The same fuel pools where each reactor core, there could be 8 reactor cores in a fuel pool, but it's the same reactor core that boils water for 1 million homes and businesses by splitting atoms. Now it has no containment. The fuel pool has no containment. It's still splitting fucking atoms. Does YouTube, the International Atomic Energy Agency, Unclear, ERPA, the IPRC, consistently ghost-banding anti-nuclear videos warrant a congressional investigation? It fucking do so. And that should include the people that gave me gag orders should be investigated significantly for scamming people by saying they're testing for radiation when they fucking didn't in the water. $600 a bucket. Wow, where'd all that money go? That went to Jay Cullen and Ken Abusler. They had a big incentive to pull a scam, and that's what they done. They made a fucking fortune. They're still doing it. They're the definition of evil. And just because you can get a corrupt judge to fuck me over doesn't mean that I was the bad person. It just means that they're really evil. That they're insidiously evil people. That they're the lowest forms of fucking life conceivable. So from delusion, which has been going on for 80 years from 1,000 fuel pools worldwide, to isolation of waste. Each fuel pool is still splitting atoms for millions of homes and businesses, surrounded by farms as far as you can see. Are you getting a fucking picture of what this idiot fucking industry has been up to? It's exterminating every species on the planet. My research expeditions clearly show that. I showed you that earlier. And they've refused even today to acknowledge my expeditions and that the species are gone. They can't blame it on tin cans and pop bottles and cardboard anymore. That excessive burdens of proof could hinder or discourage waste isolation. Excessive burdens of proof. In other words, they can't fucking do anything to it. Well, we don't have to prove nothing to you. But we've been releasing it into the environment. We can't keep doing that because we're snuffing out all the life on the entire fucking planet. These people are insane, boy. Highly mobile and persistent radio nuke. Highly fucking mobile. Think about that statement. And persistent because it's around for 150 million years. And that is released in quantities that showed up 7,000 miles away at absurd numbers. Numbers that was never conceived pre-Fukushima. We're talking about the entire fucking planet. And it's not just cesium-137 or iodine-129. I'm not fucking angry. Don't think I'm angry. I'm righteous, maybe. I don't think that. I'm not a fucking big shot. I'm just an honest person who's willing to do the worst fucking job humanity will ever have, and will have to do it at some point. You're gonna have to kick the nuclear industry in the fucking nuts. At some point, you're gonna have to say, "Well, we gotta stop fucking that," which should have been 80 fucking years ago. How can Japan give a stamp of approval when the International Atomic Energy Agency is not a regulator and not in a position to judge or approve any fucking thing, let alone soil? If they're not in a position to approve soil, they're not in a fucking position to approve water. And by the way, do you really think for 2 fucking seconds the water has only been coming out since August 24th, 2020? Let me put that fucker to rest for you very quick here. You can play games all you want, but I'm not going to fucking play any games. I'm not going to pull any punches, and I'm not going to pretend the bad guy has any redeeming qualities, because they don't. It's a criminal organization. They have no redeeming fucking qualities at all. It's a criminal organization. Not maybe. You really fucking expect me to believe nothing got out of these fucking buildings until August the 23rd, 24th, 2023? Do you really fucking want me to believe that? You lost all the reactors in 5 fucking days. Not 12 fucking years. Right? And then they built contraptions over it, and you never see this fucking picture anywhere else. They built these contraptions off-site, assembled it over, and then claimed they were in it. Or, we're getting the fuel out of the pool. There's only a fraction of them claiming they're on top of a building that don't even exist. You think they're doing that because it's like a fucking banana? They're doing it because you wiped out all the fucking species on the planet. You think this parasite right there, this fucking maggot, the guy who in his spare times goes around sniffing fucking bicycle seats, you really fucking think that he has a redeeming quality? You really think over the next 2 weeks he's not going to be out there lying like the industry has been doing for its entire legacy? You're crazier than I am. Do you really think 4 buildings in a row you can go in there and fucking fix something? Please tell me you're not that fucking naive. You're not that gullible, for fuck's sakes. Then the question is, to the new people out there, you should be out there trying to get me in a position where I can fucking fight for you. I got 7 stints. I'm still good for a while yet. I'm still capable of going to war yet. I'm still not fucking dead yet. I ain't dying for any time soon either. You really think all those research expeditions that I done for 6 fucking years, showing the species to you left are exterminated, is not valid because the industry hates my guts and just hid me away? Do you really think that this doesn't matter? Well, it matters to me because I have fucking nightmares every night. every night. Those species are gone. They're exterminated. And the media come out and pretended that the reactor cores were still intact. I'm going to play that clip for you, actually. I haven't heard it for at least 24 hours. I made this video 12 years ago, and I played it every day.
I'm standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4.
What? Holy
the whole
shit!
of this building was blown
How?
apart by a huge
It
explosion.
doesn't even exist.
We are here inside Reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Plant that was
What a
severely
killer.
crippled during the earthquake and tsunami of 2011.
Of the decommissioning work
That's a senator's son talking there. That's ABC Australia. She's a press room at the White House, for fuck's sakes.
taking place here in Reactor 4.
At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation exposure. In 4 hours, I received the equivalent of less than a chest x-ray.
1,500 highly radioactive fuel rods inside this pool. They've got to move them outside of this reactor.
Do anybody think they're on top of that fucking building 150 feet up? Is there anybody out there that's still that fucking stupid, think they're on top of that building? Is there anybody out there? Anybody think they're in the fuel pools that are at the top of these fucking buildings? Why is the planet full of so many cowards? Why is the United Nations full of so many cowards? How can Ralphie Grossi approve the water release when the International Atomic Energy Agency is not a regulator? They're not in a position to judge or approve the soil or the water or any fucking thing else. And everything was released. All the reactors are hemorrhaging for nonstop for 14 fucking years. You really think they can separate tritium-3H from the other isotopes? Are you really that fucking gullible? Apparently a lot of people are. Tractor Bechtel and idiot launches a small modular reactor cogeneration task force. What the fuck you talking about? Geothermal is your solution, not fucking reactors. Why the fuck would you even look at reactors? They don't have them. There's nothing to look at. Like the Canadian small modular reactor is a 240-foot fucking skyscraper, 24-story building, 24-story. Yeah, they're going to put half of it underground. When was the last time you were underground in a 12-story building? Anybody? Raise your fucking hands. The two companies have signed a memorandum of understanding, Dana. Yeah, like we've heard this so often. It means nothing. You don't have a reactor, fuckheads. Oh, and guess where they signed it to? Aimed at promoting nuclear power. You've been promoting it for 80 years, and you have the same gigawatts now as you did in the fucking 90s. A key solution for industrial decarbonization, energy systems, resilience, and efficiency. What are you, fucking stupid or something? You decarb because you wipe out all the species on the planet. Efficiency. What the fuck does that even mean? Geothermal is more efficient than nuclear. Nuclear got to spend $100 billion a year on each plant for just fucking maintenance, for God's sakes. It's a big, stupid money pit. And if you don't do it, then that'll come back and haunt you a decade later, beyond belief. And then every time you crack that reactor open, take fuel out, you're putting it in a pool where it's splitting atoms into the environment forever and ever. And that the emissions never go away. All the emissions you created on this planet, even the stuff that decayed down to radioactive lead, is still man-made anthropogenic radioactive lead and capable of harming some kind of species. All the stuff that the industry released, accidents, dumping, meltdowns, for 80 years is still on this planet, pulsing energy at the speed of light every second. The majority of it is very high energetic stuff that man-made elements, isotopes, that might, have a quarter-million-year half-life or a million-year half-life or whatever. They're going to retain their energies for that entire time. They're not like the natural stuff where they're harmless. These are fucking deadly forever. And the industry knows. The industry is aware of it. It's better to give me $1 billion so I could kick the fucking shit out of this industry too sweet than it is to let this industry have another fucking nickel. Integrated with a high temperature storage device. Small modular reactor with a storage device. What the fuck? Geothermal will do the job now and next year or the year after, year after, year after, year after. You can start it anytime you want and it'll be ready in 1 year. Anything a small modular reactor can do, maybe, if you can ever get one built. Like they don't have a small modular reactor because the one that they do is 240 feet tall. If they had a small modular reactor, they'd build the fucking thing instead of a 24-story building. So they don't have it. Therefore, they've been at it for 50 years. It's the same thing with fusion. They don't have it. If they have it, they try to build it, right? It'd be built. They'd be sharing that idea, and other companies would pick up on that, and they'd be going full steam ahead, which is the biggest nightmare could happen to any planet. My big fear is we'll find a planet with 8 million species on it, and we'll put a fucking nuclear reactor there, and eventually we'll wipe out everything on that planet. Because that's their intention, by the way. This industry is an idiot industry. And it only works by deceit and dishonesty, deception and misrepresentation. Its whole ideology is predicated upon deceit. Small modular reactor featuring, you don't have it. It doesn't exist. You're not developing it. You don't have a fucking team put together of academics that can develop that. You have another 100 companies out there already doing it. What makes you fucking different? And then your design of sodium-cooled fast neutron reactors has already been built and fucking melted down multiple times. And they're not small, are they? 400 megawatts. There's lots of large reactors. That's what they put out is 400 megawatts. That's not a small modular reactor, you fucking shit for brains. You fucking tool. You faker. You great pretender. It's just, we got a snowstorm here tonight. Wrap your mind around that statement. Which, of course, is November on the east coast of Canada. You're supposed to have snow. I wasn't expecting it. I was just hoping it wasn't going to show up yet. Well, I hope we get a lot of it. We're supposed to get like up to 10 centimeters of snow here. We've had serious windstorms. Like yesterday was brutal here. The Oklo, $17 billion nuclear startup without a revenue / reactor. A publicly listed company, don't have any revenue and never built a reactor. They don't have a design into the regulatory agency, which is a huge process. You type of 2 million pieces of paper. An unproven nuclear technology. Unproven? It doesn't even exist. It's not unproven. It's like every other small modular reactor company. It's a fantasy. And the Canadians going with the boiling water reactor X300, which is 300 megawatts, is a 24-story building. It's 50 feet higher than the massive Fukushima reactors. No, it can fit on the back of a truck, Dana. It's a 24-story building. No, it can fit on the back of a truck, Dana. Imagine how fucking desperate they were to get in my comments section earlier tonight. Good job, Dana. Dana got rid of their asses because they're full of shit, and Dana knows it. Dana's been around forever, man. Bless his heart, boy. Well, he knows right from wrong, I can tell you that much. Holy shit. Yeah, Santa Susana was a sodium reactor. That released 460 times more than, it's equal to 463 Mile Island meltdowns in releases, right? Fukushima town eases entry restrictions into a nuclear wasteland, contaminated area. No, you mean nuclear wasteland. No, contaminated area. Yeah, nuclear wasteland, right? Yeah, nuclear wasteland. In Futaba, where you can actually see the melted reactors from Futaba, which is joined onto the site. Why would you move people back in there, you sacks of shit? You fucking morons. Fukushima Prefecture is not a fucking town, it's abandoned. Eases entry restrictions to a nuclear wasteland, some areas of a nuclear wasteland, within the so-called, not so-called, it's called a nuclear wasteland. Yeah, you call it a difficult return zone because you're scumbags. You're fucking losers. But it's a nuclear wasteland, right? Not a difficult return zone. It's a fucking nuclear wasteland. They should move you fuckers in who wrote that into there and tie you onto a fucking pole and leave you there. Instead of you like the fucking beagle dogs they kill. Which was heavily contaminated. It's a nuclear wasteland, for goodness sakes. Not heavily contaminated. It's a fucking nuclear wasteland. It's a no-go zone. Everybody else on the planet calls it a nuclear wasteland. Not the little short, stupid idiot in the nuclear industries down there. Contaminated. They should fucking move back there and prove it's not contaminated. Due to 2011 nuclear accident. Nuclear accident. Have you seen that fucking place? You had 36 reactor cores melted fucking down. They lost the entire inventories of 36 reactor cores in 5 or 6 days. And the pieces that were left over, when China syndrome split the earth open, in 6 places where the steam was coming out of the ground for years and years and years, was over 4 sieverts an hour in 6 places coming out of the ground. 3 sieverts will melt your fucking organs. You can't just have 4 sieverts coming out of the ground. It accumulates in the area. It saturates everything. Within a few hours, you're talking about multiple dozens of sieverts. These are like sniper round areas. Specified living areas in Futaba. This is a place where they got 14 million 1-ton bags of radioactive fallout, where every building is totally... Like if you take... It's not illegal to poison you with radiation, right? The industry is very smart when it comes to murdering everybody and everything. They set it up so that Congress and parliaments, the Diet of Japan, for instance, doesn't have the authority to make it illegal to poison you with radiation. Otherwise, they could never do this. Right? Only the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and there's a new administration, means there's new players, and the players are the worst humans conceivable. In Futaba, how can it be a living area, a specified living area in a nuclear wasteland? Well, you know, the homeless people, we don't want to waste money on buses, so they just live right there. Oh. Because the nuclear industry, the nuclear academics, nuclear scientists don't work at Fukushima, for goodness sakes. That's the homeless and the destitute. The nuclear industry is disgusting. One of the 2 host towns of TEPCO's Fukushima #1 nuclear plant, the site of the accident. You had 36 fucking reactor cores melt down, and you're not even going to give it any prominence whatsoever, you parasites. In the areas, specified areas, intensive decontamination work. Well, who done that? Which company done that? Oh, you mean homeless people who don't know what they're fucking doing. Picking up some topsoil is intensive decontamination data. It's conducted so people can register as local residents can return to their nuclear wasteland. Why would you send people back into a nuclear wasteland, you fucking parasite? I am not fucking taking it any fucking more. I'm going to call a parasite. Following the easing of the restrictions, residents can enter their homes without permission. Easing of restrictions. How do you quantify that? Who quantified that? Surely not you, the industry itself. Oh, that's right, the industry did. Did the IAEA go in there and say everything is perfect? Wouldn't surprise me, wouldn't amaze me, wouldn't shock me. That's exactly what you expect them to do because they're such parasites. Easing of restrictions. The victims can enter the nuclear wasteland without permission. Why would they though? Why wouldn't you tell them that this is a nuclear wasteland? You don't want to go there, stupid. You don't let people speed down the road because it's fucking dangerous, but you're going to let people go into a nuclear wasteland which is deadly? And you think you're fucking a good person, do you? You're vomit is what you people are. Though they are not permitted to stay overnight. Why aren't they permitted to stay overnight? Shit for brains? Genius? What? If you're okay to go in there, you should be okay to stay over a fucking night. Because you got to breathe it in. You're going to be drinking it. You're going to be absorbing it. It's going to be on your clothing. I mean, your fucking hair and your eyebrows. You should shave all that right away. You worthless fucks. You worthless fucks. You spineless fucking fucks. You fucks. I didn't know if I mentioned it enough times, but you're fucks. The relaxation marks the first time that free entry into a nuclear wasteland has been permitted in any of the nuclear wasteland areas in Fukushima. Specified. What a coward to write something like that. Can you imagine what kind of mega... Well, you know it's from the United Nations. You know it's from IAEA that wrote that. They're not the third... Japan's not the third biggest donor to IAEA for something to fucking do. It affects 110 hectares in 3 administrative districts, whose total size is 530 hectares. No. Futaba's a nuclear wasteland, for God's sakes. You picked up 30 million one-ton fucking bags. And ground zero, you're going to let people go back in ground fucking zero? Where the reactors, by the way, right alongside of it, 2 kilometers away, are still melting fucking down? You people should get the death penalty for that. At around 9 a.m. Tuesday, 9 barricades at roads leading to areas where the relaxed restrictions apply were opened. Residents and police were seen entering by car. Why would the police go in there? Because some shit for fucking brains told them it was safe? Why don't the police shoot these fuckers? I hope the easing will give a push to the eventual removal of the evacuation orders and returns of the residents, the head of one community, one of the 3 districts, one of the districts in Futaba. Why would you go back there, you fuck? So they quote the most useless person they could find, the most worthless human they could find. The specified living areas were designated in 6 municipalities in Fukushima as many local residents wish to return. Yet because you've been conned by terrorists, the IAEA, terrorists. They're fucking terrorists. Send people back to the nuclear wasteland is terrorism. The decontamination, you can't fucking decontaminate when you got a meltdown still going on. When every time, you can't decontaminate the forest, so every time the wind blows, you're going to re-radiate the shit out of everything again. You can't fucking decontaminate a nuclear wasteland, you prick. Lifting towards the evacuation of the entire fucking nuclear wasteland by 2027. So Canada, United States is a fucking nuclear wasteland. I do get cranky when I see people being targeted who don't know any better and tricked and deceived and manipulated to go back into a nuclear wasteland. 142 fucking views on that one. 190 views on that one after 21 hours. I've never seen that before. Because I talked about a cunt? A serial killer? YouTube, well, we gotta censor that. He told the truth. We gotta fucking censor Dana. Dana told the truth. You bastard, Dana. Let me see here. James put out a really good song a day ago. I've been sleeping like a baby all day yesterday, all that wind and rain. I got myself pushed because I'm desperate for the world to make the right move, right? I'm not doing this every day because it's fun. A little bit sometimes. I sleep better at night when I do a show. Because I have pains of conscience every fucking day if I don't try to come out and curb stomp these fucks. I do a lot more than that. If I can get some big foundations to stand up alongside of me, because you're going to have to do it at some point. James put a really good song yesterday. We're going to play that. He gets no views all of a sudden, eh? Nothing. Because music is the best weapon out there. And he's getting so good at it. And like, you know, if you got an open mind and you got all these different genres, then you really appreciate how freaking capable he actually is. I'm an asshole, I get that. I can't help it. I'm not an asshole to people that support me. I'm just an asshole, right? Because the industry has turned me into an asshole. You got to be a fucking asshole to survive, to keep doing what you're doing. Because it's the shittiest job on the planet. And it's the best job on the planet. By far. There's nothing I would rather do than kick the fucking shit out of the nuclear industry every day of my life. There's nothing makes me feel more better. Does YouTube and the fuckheads at the International Atomic Energy Agency, IRPA, UNSCLEAR, the IPRC, blah, 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 consistently ghost banding anti-nuclear Vids warrant a congressional investigation? See, I got a few spammers came in. Well, why wouldn't it? A fucking terrorist. And James put out Bridge Spotter Confessions. And he does all the music, the footage himself. Very talented. And he's got over 400, he's almost 450 anti-nuclear songs. It's crazy, man. It's more than the entire planet combined. How can you not fucking love that? Have a great night and a great day tomorrow. Hugs for everybody. I could be back tomorrow. Or I'll probably be back Sunday. We'll see. Have a great night. And if you got $1 billion to donate, see my PayPal in the description or call me. You can call me. Oh, my phone went to sleep. And my battery went dead. I hope nobody was trying to call. Take care.
The yellow shield moved unmet. Lit sheets, rails aligned, cruise report. Systems prime. Trip to checked alignment set. Bridge crawls east, no offset yet. Food that reads 10:08 to drop in here, rewrites the date. Everyone's steady, calm by rules. Screens repeat a steady spool. The mass lowers, crosshairs meet. Nothing moves until they're complete. Confessions. The pool gets deeper every year. We lower heat, we lift the fear. I've seen the bundles brush too near. Bridge spotter, confess, share and call. Paper suits, crowd the lift gate, new trip, take a clip to every mate. Badges beep through access doors. RP checks the dose reports. Bridge crew log the mast in view. ME ropes mark what's new. Watch the grapple lock engage. No chatter once we're on the stage. One wrong move and all hell breaks through. I'm the unhook that calls it out to stop. Confessions. The pool gets deeper every year. We lower heat, we live the fear. I've seen the bundles brush too near. Bridge spot her confession, sharing cough. They call this precision, I call it permission. NRC sheet folded, edges torn. Every instruction a warning sworn. Next year I might walk away. For now I keep the cranes in play. The feed repeats, the meters climb. I breathe between the Confessions. The pool gets deeper every year.